I recently did a video on booking award flights to Japan on Air Nippon Airways, also known as ANA. It's one of Japan's premier airlines. Unfortunately, as I explained in that video, there can be some complications that make the ANA booking process a bit difficult. This is especially true if you can't be flexible because you need to be in Japan on a specific date. If you're ready to tackle a more challenging redemption, or you have the flexibility to book last minute, you should definitely check out that video. The link is in the description below. It's difficult, but not impossible. In fact, I booked 2 ANA award flights right before I made the video. So don't eliminate it as an option if you can handle a challenge. But if you're new to the travel hacking game, or you're just looking for an easier way to get tickets to Japan, stick with me, because today I'm going to talk about another option that can get you to Japan. That is finding award availability on Japan Airlines, which is the other premier Japanese airline. And at the end of the video, I'll focus on adjustments you can make during the process that can make your redemption even better. In case you're new here, hi, I'm Mel, and I share my travel experiences and teach you the how-tos for free travel. If you like this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any new videos. And with that out of the way, let's get started. If you're trying to fly to Tokyo on Japan Airlines, the first thing you need to know is that the airline offers non-stop flights from 10 North American cities to Tokyo. You'll want to focus your search on these 10 cities in order to find the best redemptions. Honolulu, Kailua Kona, San Francisco, Los Angeles, San Diego, Seattle, Dallas, Chicago, Boston, and New York City. To book an award flight on Japan Airlines, it's important to realize that we have options, and you don't have to book on the Japan Airlines website in order to have a ticket and a seat on a Japan Airlines plane. This is because airlines often form alliances with one another in order to better serve their customers. And when this happens, the members of the alliance can sell both cash and award flights on the other members' planes. Japan Airlines is part of the One World Alliance, and because of that, you can book award tickets on Japan Airlines planes through any of their partner airlines. The 3 One World Alliance partners that we'll be interested in using are American Airlines, Cath Pacific, and British Airlines. So as we start to look at our options, remember that you can book a Japan Airlines ticket on Japan Airlines itself, or you can book through American Airlines, Cath Pacific, or British Airlines. To begin our search, it's best to start with the American Airlines website because their search tool allows you to look at results for a month at a time. So it's a quick and easy way to check for award availability. Remember, this doesn't necessarily mean that you have to book the flight on American Airlines. You can book the flight on American Airlines or elsewhere, depending on the type of points you have. And I'll discuss that in more detail when we get there. But for now, let's start the search. Go to American Airlines. I'm going to search for a flight traveling from Chicago to Tokyo. So I put Chicago as the departure and Tokyo, TYO, as the destination. This will give us results for both of Tokyo's airports, Narita and Haneda. I then select a random date. Then I go up and select One Way, Redeem Miles, and search. When results pop up, I immediately select Calendar because this will allow us to see 1 month of availability at a time. Then go to the top and change the filters to Business Class and NonStop because we know Japan Airlines offers nonstop flights from Tokyo to Chicago, as I mentioned before. As you can see, there's quite a bit of availability for January. Anywhere that we see 60,000 in green is Saver Award space on Japan Airlines. Quite a bit in February too. So let's select a date. I'll pick February 14th. And the details show that it is indeed a nonstop flight on February 14th on Japan Airlines in business class. And the award price is 60,000 miles plus $5.60 in taxes and fees. So at this point, we have our first option. Option 1, book the flight on the American Airlines website. If we do this, the price of the flight is 60,000 miles plus $5.60. This is a great deal, but the problem is that of the 5 flexible rewards credit card companies, only Bilt can transfer to American Airlines. So booking on the American Airlines website will only work for you if you're flush in American Airlines miles or if you have enough Bilt points to transfer. It's worth knowing that there are some very effective methods for earning American Airlines points. So if you're interested in seeing a video that covers this, let me know in the comments. But for now, let's move on to option 2. Book the flight on the Cathay Pacific website. There are more options for transferring points to Cathay Pacific than to American Airlines, so this might be a more attractive option for many of you. 4 of the 5 flexible reward credit card companies allow transfers to Cathay Pacific: American Express, Citi, Capital One, and Bilt. So let's look to see if we can find the same flight. Go to the Cathay Pacific website and make sure you're logged in. Click on Redeem Flights, Leaving from Chicago, and Going to Tokyo. Pick the one that includes both airports. Select One Way. And for the date, let's use the flight we found on American Airlines, February 14th, 2024. Make sure you have business class selected and then hit Redeem Flights. I scroll down and see the exact same 10:20 a.m. flight that I was looking at on the American Airlines website for 89,000 Cathay Pacific Asia miles. Let's click on flight details to make sure this is the same flight. And yes, it's Japan Airlines going from Chicago to Tokyo on February 14th. All the information matches. If we go back and scroll down to get all the details on pricing, we unfortunately see that the taxes and fees are steep. The cost of the flight is 89,000 Cathay Pacific miles plus 2,610 Hong Kong dollars, which converts to 352 US dollars. So our options for now are American Airlines at 60,000 miles plus $5.60, or Cathay Pacific at 89,000 Asia miles plus approximately $352. Before making any decisions, let's look at our third option. Option 3, book the flight on the British Airways website. The people who are usually most interested in this option are those with Chase points. Remember that Bilt was the only flexible currency that could transfer to American Airlines, and while Cathay Pacific works with 4 of the 5 flexible credit card companies, Chase was the missing one. And Chase Ultimate Rewards are really popular with the travel hacking community, so many people prefer having Chase as an option. To book award flights with British Airways, you can transfer points from Chase, American Express, Capital One, and Bilt. So if this seems like the most doable option for you, go to the British Airways website and make sure you're logged in. Select Book a Flight with Avios. Type in From Chicago and to Tokyo. Choose the Tokyo option with All indicated. Select One Way Only. And then let's put in our date of February 14th, 2024. Change the class to business class and select Get Flights. They ask if you want a stopover, but we're going to select no because we're looking for a nonstop flight. We scroll down and there's our flight. In fact, there are 8 seats left, which is crazy. When I click on it, we can see that it's the same 10:20 a.m. flight leaving Chicago on February 14th. And the price is $92,750 Avios plus $332.80 in taxes and fees. So if we add it to our list of options, we now have American Airlines at 60,000 miles plus $5.60, or Cathay Pacific at 89,000 Asia miles plus approximately $352, or British Airways at 92,750 Avios plus $332.80. Clearly the best deal is American Airlines, so if you have a lot of American Airline miles, then the answer is pretty clear. But if you don't have enough AA miles, at least there are other options, even if they charge more points and have higher taxes and fees. Try not to let this make you feel like you got a bad deal, because you really didn't. In my opinion, all 3 offer a decent deal for what you're getting. You're flying all the way from North America to Japan in business class on a premier Japanese airline. One more thing, if you pick either Cathay Pacific or British Airlines, you'll need to transfer points in order to book. So keep these 3 things in mind. First, only transfer points once you've found the availability, because once you transfer your points to the travel partner, you can't transfer them back. So be really sure before you move your points. Second, be aware that there can be a delay when you transfer your points. I've always been really lucky and my points have always transferred immediately, but delays can and do happen, so be aware. There are no guarantees. Third, if you're not sure how to transfer points, take a look at my Flying Blue video where I take you through the process step by step. I'll put a link in the description below. But what if you follow all the steps in this video and the options that you find just won't work for you? What if you can't find the availability you need, or you just feel that the cost is not doable for you? Well, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, there are a few adjustments you can make during the booking process that increase your odds for finding a better redemption. If you have an issue with the pricing or availability, there are some steps you can take, so let's look at those. Adjustment 1. Change your departure location and take a positioning flight to get there. This helps you in a couple of ways. First, changing your departure location can increase availability for you. When I was looking for flights, I noticed that Chicago had great availability in January and February, but absolutely no availability from March all the way through November. But when I searched for Boston to Tokyo, I noticed that there was availability scattered throughout the year. Take a look. Savor award space for Boston to Tokyo in May, September, October, and November. It's still somewhat limited, but at least it gives you options. And because the availability for each city will be slightly different, you should check each one, especially if you have a specific time in which you need to be traveling. Once you find an option that works in terms of the date and in terms of the rate, then you can book a repositioning flight to get you to that city. But that's not the only advantage. The second advantage is that changing your departure location can save you money. More specifically, repositioning to the West Coast can give you better rates on British Airways. British Airways partner award flights are distance-based. That means that they charge more for flights that cover a longer distance and less for the shorter flights. So flights from the West Coast are cheaper than other North American flights. For example, the flights we were looking at from Chicago to Tokyo fall into Zone 7 of British Airways distance-based pricing. In that distance band, flights will cost you 92,750 miles plus taxes and fees. But if you were departing from the East Coast, say New York City or Boston, the flight would fall within Zone 8 and therefore cost you 108,250 miles. But on the flip side, if you could depart from the West Coast, like San Francisco or Los Angeles, British Airways would only charge you 77,250 miles. To see this in action, I found Savor Award Space from San Francisco to Tokyo on August 9th, 2024. I then searched for the same flight on British Airways, and as expected, it shows the price as 77,250 miles. Adjustment 2. Check your credit cards for transfer bonuses. It's unlikely you'll find a transfer bonus to American Airlines, but bonuses to both Cathay Pacific and British Airlines are actually really common. This can save you points and bring down the pricing enough so that it's more in line with American Airlines. For example, we've seen transfers to Cathay Pacific in the past that provided bonuses of 15% and 20%. And with the 20% bonus, the effective rate becomes 74,167 Cathay Pacific Asia miles. Even better, we've seen transfer bonuses as high as 40% to British Airlines. So if your timing is right, your effective rate for the Chicago to Tokyo business class flight when booked through British Airways becomes 66,250 Avios. As you can see, the transfer bonuses can really help. So be on the lookout and always check before booking. Adjustment 3. Consider flying economy class. This is a tough one for me because I'm a terrible sleeper. So flying economy class on a long distance flight is not something I usually consider. But I do think it can work for a lot of people. If you're young and have more flexibility when it comes to sleep, and the destination is more important to you than how you actually get there, then this can be a great option for you. Plus, Asian airlines usually offer a much better economy product than American carriers, so you might be surprised. My son recently flew economy class on an Asian carrier from Chicago to Beijing, and his flight was great. The service was good, the meal was good, and he was actually able to sleep 9 straight hours, which is crazy to me. I can't even sleep 9 hours when I'm home in my own bed. Another group that might want to consider flying economy are families. It can be tough to find enough business class availability if you're flying in a big group. And it also can be really expensive if you're paying for multiple flights. Flying economy will not only dramatically lower your costs, but it will usually increase your odds for finding availability. Let's look at the American Airlines website to test this. When I pull up the search calendar for our earlier business class flight search, January and February have really good availability, just like we saw before. But once we hit March, we see no flight available. And again in April, May, June, July, August, September, October, and November. So what can you do if you really need to go to Japan next summer and there's no availability in business class? Well, one thing you can do is change your departure city, as we already talked about. But another option is to check the same route in economy. I switched the calendar results to economy class and see decent economy availability in both January and February. But what about the months when we couldn't find any business class? Well, March is still not available, but there are quite a few options in April, one option in May, no availability in June. But look at July, tons of availability. August is wide open too. Let's pick one in August to see the details. And it's exactly what we were looking for, a nonstop flight from Chicago to Japan in economy. And the price is only 35,000 miles plus $5.60 in taxes and fees. A pretty great deal. It may not be for everyone, but it's definitely worth considering, especially if you're flying at a really popular time and you don't have much flexibility. It may not be as glamorous as flying business class, but it does get you to where you need to go and at a very reasonable price. And in case you're wondering how this prices out on Cathay Pacific or British Airways, here's the breakdown. As we already saw, booking through American Airlines will require 35,000 miles plus $5.60, while booking through Cathay Pacific is 40,000 Asian miles plus $352. And booking through British Airways is 31,000 Avios plus $333.90. I hope you found this video to be useful and that it gave you a few more ideas on how to get to Japan. Comment below if you have any questions or requests for future videos. And please hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you like travel content like this. Until next time, happy travels.